Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on Dead of Winter, starring Emma Thompson and Judy Greer. It's a survivalist movie. It's not too bad. But let's break it down with a non-spoiler and a spoiler review. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. The links are in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys. Books 1 through 18. Available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. So this is one of these movies where it gets very desperate. First, I'll give you my non-spoiler review. It's okay. It's not bad. I give it like a 7. I think I said in my original trailer analysis that Judy Greer is probably miscast. I do like Judy Greer a lot, but she's probably miscast in this because I don't really see her doing all this. She's the bad guy. I don't really see her doing this. I think a male actor probably would have been more effective in the role. And it would have worked with male or female, but I think a male actor would have been more menacing. Emma Thompson is actually pretty good in this. Again, a male might have been slightly more effective with the survivalist stuff, but she's the protagonist, so the fact that she's a woman and maybe not as strong physically, yeah, that kind of works. She makes it work. Judy Greer, to me, she's been in too many comedies. She, in her early days, she was the hot secretary on Arrested Development. So I just don't think Judy Greer was, even though I like her as an actress, and she wasn't bad in this. I'm not knocking her. I just think her being mean doesn't quite scan. But all that being said, I would give it a 7 out of 10. So it's not bad. It's not bad. Not bad for streaming. But it's playing on Amazon. That's what we watched it on. So check it out if you want. Probably be on Tubi or something down the road. I'm guessing for less, but it's a fairly recent flick. All right. So that concludes the non-spoiler review. So spoilers ahoy. All right, first act, Emma Thompson is a woman who's recently lost her husband, and she's going to drop his ashes at per his request at Lake Hilda, where they had their first date and went ice fishing on their first date. Okay? So there's flashbacks during the course of the movie of Emma Thompson and her husband when they were young. And I didn't mind those. I thought I would be annoyed by those, but I kind of liked them. They were nice. So you get to see the whole story arc of her and her husband and how they fell in love and got married and had a tragedy but overcame it. And then eventually he died. So you get to see that entire relationship in flashback during the course of the movie. But the up-to-date present-day events are that she goes to the lake. On the way to the lake, she gets detoured because she gets a little lost, stops at this cabin where she meets this guy who's acting a little suspicious, and then gets directions from him, goes to the lake. While she's at the lake, she hears a gunshot, and she runs back to her truck, which is parked at the edge of the lake, and hides. Out of the woods comes the guy from the cabin and a kidnapped girl he's shooting at, and eventually he captures up to him and recaptures her and says, get back to the cabin. So Emma Thompson sees this. Somehow this guy doesn't see the truck or all her ice fishing equipment that's in the middle of the lake. Or he just ignores it and goes back to the cabin with the girl. Later it's revealed this guy has never kidnapped anyone and he's not a hardened criminal. So I found all that a little bit kind of a detail that probably should have been addressed. Like it probably should have been that the truck was parked behind some trees. And then maybe, now the ice fishing equipment was way off in the distance. So that was okay not to show that, let's say. But, or that he wouldn't care. Like, oh, there's a bunch of stuff on the lake. I can't even see what it is, maybe. But the truck was super close. And that should have been behind some trees. There should have been a shot of Emma Thompson hiding behind the truck, and that it's clear that most of the truck is obscured by trees. But they didn't do that. The other problem is when Emma Thompson meets him at the cabin, he's cutting wood, and she says hello, and he doesn't hear her because he's wearing headphones. And he turns around and he sees her and he's surprised, which is why he acts sketchy. But here's the thing. He just kidnapped a girl. He's not a hardened criminal, but he put on his headphones to chop wood because he was supposed to watch her, and she does escape sometime after that. So it's all pretty stupid that he's wearing his headphones as a guy who is a first-time kidnapper. But these are small details I notice. So Emma Thompson decides she's got to save the girl. So in a panic, she drives the truck onto the lake to get her ice fishing equipment, which she does. See, that's the lake there. And in a panic, she throws it all in the truck. There he's meeting the guy. And then the most important scene in the movie happens. Her truck gets stuck on the lake. She can't drive off the lake. She gets stuck trying to go up a steep incline and can't move. Can't move it. Later, she has to blow up the truck for reasons. So that's an important scene. The incline is not steep enough for that truck not to get over it. It's just not. So that was an important detail I think the filmmakers should have addressed. They didn't, but you could probably overlook it. So Emma Thompson now is stuck. So she goes back to the cabin, and it becomes a whole cat and mouse thing. She eventually figures out there's a girl. The girl is trapped in the basement through the course of the movie, and then Judy Greer is the initiator of all this. And the whole plot is this. Judy Greer has kidnapped a suicidal girl who happens to be her match for a liver transplant. Although that part of it, they never bothered to explain. I think they should have had a scene where there was some medical records with her blood type and stuff, but whatever. So Judy Greer concocted this idea that she's hiring an illegal surgeon, and the surgeon has agreed to transplant a liver into her, illegally, I assume, and somehow get her all the drugs she needs to not reject the liver. And but she's going to do it by kidnapping a girl and killing her to get her liver. But the girl was suicidal, so that's okay. And her husband is dragged into it. And and Judy Greer worked at the OR, so that's how she knows the suicidal girl with her blood type and how to do medical stuff. But it's a bad plan. It's a really bad plan. And Emma Thompson is determined to save the girl. At one point in the movie, she discovers the girl's name is Leah, and that was the name of the top of the list of girls' names had she had a baby with her late husband. They tried to have a baby and it died, and it was a very sad scene. And so that's like the metaphor, right? Like Emma Thompson needs to save this young girl because she's really trying to save her daughter. So that part of it, was pretty good. But Judy Greer is not menacing enough to be a bad guy. She tries. I mean, I really like Judy Greer, and she's not bad in this movie, but I don't believe her as a bad guy, not for a second. I think it probably would have been a stronger choice to pick a man for the role. A man who was dying and being selfish. I don't know. I kind of didn't buy Judy Greer as the bad guy. But Emma Thompson is very good as like an old woman who's grizzled enough to fight her way through all this. She gets shot at one point and has to sew her own arm up. And she goes back and forth in a cat and mouse game with Judy Greer and her husband. She tricks him back to the lake. The husband falls through the ice because Emma Thompson somehow sets a trap that looks perfectly flat ice, but it's thin, and he falls through and nearly gets hypothermia. So he's weakened for the rest of the movie like Judy Greer. Eventually, he's so banged up and messed up between falling in the lake and at one scene, Emma Thompson stabs his foot with like a pickaxe. He tries to leave Judy Greer behind to go to the hospital, and Judy Greer eventually ends up killing him. Emma Thompson eventually blows up her own truck on the ice. I think I showed you that portion of it. There's Judy. She blows up her own truck at one point, and I can't find it. And that attracts two hunters who then take her back to the cabin in order to confront Judy Greer and find out what the hell's going on. But the two hunters don't trust Emma Thompson, so they instead decide, well, we're going to get her side of the story and approach what you think is a car with Judy Greer getting warm. And actually, it's her dead husband behind the wheel of a running car, which doesn't make any sense because it's like Judy Greer set it up, but she's already shot Emma Thompson once. Emma Thompson's already made attempts to save the girl. It's like everybody knows what everybody else is gonna do. Emma Thompson tricks Judy Greer and her husband. He falls through the ice. There's no way Emma Thompson could know that Judy Greer and her husband would go back to try to kill her. Now, they do. It's kind of logical, but at the same time, they could have just left. Oh my God, somebody knows we're here. We got to get out of here, go to our backup plan, or anywhere else. So the same thing is true of Judy Greer, putting her dead husband just to lure Emma Thompson, but really the two hunters come up and then Judy Greer shoots them both. And then there's a fight scene between Judy Greer and Emma Thompson, and she shoots Judy Greer in the foot and shoots at Emma Thompson, and she dives behind the cabin, and instead of shooting her, Judy Greer is such a good shot, she can't hit Emma Thompson, but from the ground she shoots these pieces of the cabin, which then collapse on top of Emma Thompson, knocking her unconscious long enough that she can be dragged into the basement and handcuffed with the kidnapped girl. So by this time, we're headed for Act 3. The husband's dead. The hunters are dead. And Judy Greer thinks she's going to personally remove a liver from a screaming young girl and then take it all to, a surgeon to then, have implanted in her so she can live. So the climactic scene is Judy Greer holding Emma Thompson at gunpoint because she can't carry all the supplies, because she's going to do the liver removal inside a tent on the lake, because her thinking is if they do it on the lake and then they burn the tent to the ground and then it falls through the ice, there'll be no evidence. I don't know if that's such a good plan for a couple of reasons. The husband at one point even says, well, why don't we just do it in the cabin? And she's like, well, I don't want all the blood in the cabin. It's like, you kidnapped a girl. People are going to have questions if you show up with a new liver and you're taking liver transplant meds, I think. But I get it. The motivation of the character is she's going to die. So the climactic scene is Judy Greer shoots Emma Thompson in the tent and then goes to rip out the liver of the young girl. Now, earlier in a scene, Emma Thompson frees herself and almost frees the girl from the basement, and in the process removes this screw, and that's how they got freed. She hands it to the girl, and it's a sharp screw. She hands it to the girl and says, "Here, a souvenir." Which, of course, is like, oh, you're taking souvenirs. You've been kidnapped, and a crazy woman's upstairs. So they don't escape, and when we're in the tent scene, Emma Thompson is fighting with Judy Greer in this knockdown, drag-out fight, and the girl is trapped in the tent, which is lit on fire due to the fight, and the girl then cuts herself loose with the screw. There's a couple of scenes where Emma Thompson is forced to tape down the girl, but she only pretends to tape her down. She gives her lots of loose slack so she could get up, which doesn't come into play at all because the girl, rather than trying to pull up on the tape, which Emma Thompson purposely didn't, do tightly, she doesn't seem to get that point across. It's very strange. I thought she was going to stab Judy Greer with the screw. No, that doesn't happen. And Judy Greer is dying of some sort of liver failure. She's taken fentanyl. She's been shot in the foot. So when Emma Thompson is fighting her, although Emma Thompson's been shot twice, you'd think at some point Judy Greer, who's been bleeding in several scenes, just bleeding from the nose, and has to take fentanyl just to be functional, would, just give up the ghost. The climactic scene is, in order to save the girl from Judy Greer, Emma Thompson, who's been cuffed, and she freed herself, but she's got half the cuffs on still, cuffs the other end of Judy Greer, and then dives into the hole in the lake where she's going to drown Judy Greer with her. And they sink as they're sinking to the bottom of the lake, she pulls out her husband's ashes and spreads the ashes all around. And that's the end of the movie. Yeah, it's a bit much at the end. I'll grant you. A bit much. But everything that led up to that wasn't too bad. It's just that I think Judy Greer, I think the movie would have been more effective if the husband was the aggressor and Judy Greer was just barely alive. And he was doing this to, he was going to pull the liver out and then take it to his dying wife, who's maybe lying in a hospital somewhere, rather than the actual person, I mean, it's great motivation for character, don't get me wrong, but could you really kidnap someone, rip out their liver, travel across several states in order to get it implanted in you? Is that a realistic scenario? I kind of don't think it is. When I initially saw this trailer, I thought the kidnapping was, I don't know, maybe money related. I mean, Emma Thompson's character is very solid. It's very solid, She has this husband named Carl who passed, and she really loves him, and you see their relationship. All that part's great. Although at the end, oh my God, they keep showing you this picture of her and her husband when they were young, and then you get to see how the picture was made. Like, we know how pictures are made. You didn't need to show us that, but whatever. All that's pretty good. The stuff with Judy Greer, though, yeah, I think it would have been better if it was just a little more realistic. I think a more realistic way would have been some husband who's already pretty sketchy gets his friend, and they're going to kidnap a girl, rip out her liver, so he could save his wife. Like, that to me would have made more sense than Judy Greer actually doing it herself. Because she's limping around the whole movie, bleeding, taking fentanyl, then she gets shot. I mean, Judy Greer's character is tough. So, in the old days, I think both the lead and the antagonist would have been men. It would have been a guy trying to save a girl who reminded him of his daughter, or, again, what Emma Thompson went through. She tried to have a daughter, and the baby died, and they never had kids, but that would have been the name of her kid. So that part of it I really liked. The actual, knock'em sock'em robot stuff was a little rough. So, but overall, like I said, I give it a 7. If you catch it, you catch it. If you like these kind of psychological thrillers, a lot of it was good. More good than bad, I would say. If you don't pick apart every movie like I do, you'll probably enjoy it. The girlfriend enjoyed it quite a bit. She gave it an 8.5. A lot higher than I would give it, but nevertheless. And that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan, somewhere behind me. Thanks for tuning in today. Don't forget, tomorrow, Wednesday, I'll be at the Cherry Hill Library at 7 p.m. for my talk on how to hunt the Jersey Devil. It's open to the public, so come on out. Hope to see you there. See you tomorrow.